Oh, hi. We're drinking the new lab. Welcome back to the Research Lab, episode 3. First question, please. Thank you. How do you spot a fake respondent? So lots of ways, to be perfectly honest. It's actually usually quite obvious within a person's responses, whether or not they're really someone who knows what they're talking about and whether they're really engaged with the survey, or whether they're actually someone who's trying to just get through it to try and get that incentive at the end. So whether that's by looking at things at their open ends, we'll be looking for things like in-depth, thorough answers, things that are actually relevant to the question, or whether it's at looking at their other parts of their survey, whether that's something like straight lining, where they're answering the same to every single question, or going through a questionnaire very, very fast and much faster than we'd expect from a normal response. When we're looking at things like B2B respondents, we can very clearly see it if we don't know what they're talking about. So for instance, we might have something along the lines of which of these brands do you know? And in B2B circles, it tends to be very obvious which brands should and shouldn't be known, or a better awareness within the market. And this is something that we can really see when we look at answers for these sorts of surveys. Next question. I'm not ever going to catch one of these. Can AI generated responses actually fool quality checks? I think the answer to that is yes. It definitely can happen, but we are constantly updating the processes that we use within the industry to try and combat that as well. So it is sort of a tug of war at the moment where AI might win in one instance and then we'll win in the other. For things, very simple checks like your classic captures or what color is this square, AI can definitely bypass those. But the more in-depth checks that we have, things like, for instance, context-aware open-end checks, and alongside things like reasoning checks, which AI can't understand, are definitely things where we can beat them on at the moment. In addition to that, I think one of the ways that we tend to catch AI users are the way that they interact with specific questions. So if we track the way that a user interacts with, for instance, an open-end box or an open-end question, then we can see when, for instance, someone is copying, pasting, or if they are typing, 100 miles an hour in order to answer that question. And these create some quite obvious tells when someone's trying to either use AI or is trying to cheat the system. We go again. Thank you. How much of your bad data is actually just bad question design? Oh, I think probably quite a lot, if I'm perfectly honest. Respondents and, most people are probably not as engaged with their survey as much as you'd like them to be. And therefore, we need to make sure that when we're making questions, they are as clear and as precise as possible to make sure that it's clear for that respondent what you want from that question. When we've got questions that are asking things in a very complex manner or in ways that people don't tend to experience in day-to-day life, you're probably not going to get the answers that you're looking for because it's probably not as well understood by that respondent as it could be. For instance, if we've got questions where you've actually got a multiple choice answer, but you want a single code from that question, you're going to get instances where people are clicking too many answers and they're going through. And that, at the end of the day, is just bad survey design as opposed to someone actually getting that question wrong or misunderstanding that. Throw me your best question, please. Does faster fieldwork mean worse data? No, I wouldn't say so at all. All faster fieldwork means is that we've invited more people to the survey and more people have completed it. So we can invite tens of thousands of people to the one survey in order to achieve, 200 responses. Whereas if we invited 100 people for those 200 responses, then you're only going to see half of them. So we can speed up fieldwork as much or as little as we want, depending on how we need to field. Now, obviously, there is a limit to this. We can only invite so many people at once. But faster fieldwork does not necessarily mean worse data quality. Cost effective, fast, and high quality. Can you have all three? It's a difficult balance, I would say, but it's one that we try to strike. I think you can't really have extremes in either angle, right? You can't have a super cheap survey that's also really fast and is also high quality, but you can find that nice middle ground where at least two of the three are in an excellent state, and then you've got one, perhaps cost, for instance, is a little bit more expensive than your very, very cheapest price. Can I have the next one, please? Oh, it's so close. Are quality checks smarter now than they were 5 years ago? Most definitely. I think we're really trying to move away nowadays from those, oh, where are all the dogs in the pictures? Or can you please click the circle? And we're really trying to get more into those behavioral sort of questions and those behavioral sort of analysis that we can do through our more advanced fraud prevention platforms. Things like the way that people interact with the screen, the way that people interact with the actual window of the survey itself. It means that we can tell, for instance, the attentiveness of a respondent, or whether or not they're actually a bot by the way they move their mouse. In addition, I think now we've got much better checks on things like open-ends, where we can check the relevancy of the content to the actual question, which is obviously really helpful and has actually been very much improved by AI and is something that's made more efficient by that. Final question. Should we be more optimistic about data quality than the headlines suggest? I think we should, yeah. I think, to be perfectly transparent, there is an issue in the industry, and I can understand why people are negative about data quality at the moment, but we are really making massive strides to try and fight that. And I think the new tech that I've seen, for instance, has really helped to show me that there are ways to combat this, and there are improvements that we can make in order to continue to fight this and adapt as the industry grows and changes. Now, who knows what the next big issue will be, or the next big obstacle? What we'll have to do is do exactly the same as we're doing now, and try to continue to innovate and try and improve our processes in order to overcome that obstacle. So that's it. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.